I want to start with something that Jack and I were talking about a few weeks ago. We had a discussion. I think I was in Monterey that weekend. We were talking about why really the Panthers are the most likely trade partner for Jimmy Garoppolo. Matt Mayoka came out today and said it's a long shot for anyone to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm starting to side with Matt on this one. I think that even the Panthers are going to be a long shot unless the Niners can do something quickly. Because I think the Panthers probably won't trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Panthers have a connection with Kenny Pickett. I don't know. Some people don't like him because he has hands that are like smaller than mine, and mine are really small. His, I think, actually probably are a little bit bigger, but still in the small range. This is the only reason I couldn't be an NFL quarterback is my hands. I check every other box. Anyway, this isn't about me. Jack hasn't talked yet. I'm going to let Jack talk for a very long time, I promise. What I want to say is Matt Rule, head coach of the Panthers, was the head coach at Temple, recruited Kenny Pickett. Then Rule went to Baylor. Kenny Pickett transferred his commitment to Pitt, went on to have a good career. Seems like Matt Rule was like vindicated in recruiting him. And if he liked him then, I'm thinking he's going to like him now. Doesn't mean Kenny Pickett will be available, but what do you think, Jack?
I think my feeling on this is that the Rule, I think, needs to have a winning season. I don't think that he can go out here and have another, because he has not been good in his first 2 years. They've only won 5 games in each of his first 2. So I feel like they need to go out and win some games. So even if they do go with a guy like Pickett or one of these other rookies, for me, it would make sense for them to make a trade for Garoppolo and expect him to be the guy for a year or two, just kind of like an Alex Smith when he was with the Chiefs, for example. Have him get in there for a year or two, kind of set the table for whichever one of these young quarterbacks comes along to put them in a better position when they're ready. That's kind of the reason why I felt like a trade for Garoppolo to Carolina made sense. That's my reasoning for it. Now, will they go that direction? Who knows?
No, I see what you're saying. It's like, even if they do draft, let's say they do draft Kenny Pickett, then the question is, who do you want to be your bridge quarterback? Sam Darnold, who's a freaking dumpster fire, or Jimmy Garoppolo, who I don't think is good, and I think probably is a lot like Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is a known loser. Jimmy Garoppolo has won a lot of games. If you think he's a loser in a different situation, that's a projection. So I could see like a desperate coach looking at that win-loss percentage and saying, you know what, just save my job for 1 year, and then I'll go to Kenny Pickett the next year. That would require the Panthers spending a first-round pick on a quarterback this year and a conditional day 2 pick next year. I mean, the whole idea is to take advantage of a desperate coach, right? Seems like Matt Rule fits that.
Yeah, it does. It does seem like he fits that. And the other thing too is I just don't know if this, they're all in on quarterbacks. They're showing that they're all in. They have, like, what is it? I think every quarterback that's in the top of the draft this year is coming in this week for a visit with them. So they're not holding back the fact that they're looking at quarterbacks. So could it be a big smoke screen because they're going to go in a different direction than that, or and they're trying to keep somebody else available for themselves to grab? That could be another thing there as well.
The biggest monkey wrench in this problem is, like, if you want Jimmy Garoppolo to come and save your job, he can't throw. He can't really participate in the off-season program until training camp. That complicates things because now you're thinking like, first of all, you miss the spring portion. That's not great. And second of all, is no guarantee he's going to be ready when they say. No idea, although you'd think so. Still, like, there's no guarantee he stays your job.
No, right. No, there's not. The only thing with Carolina, what I like about them is that their defense, they have a strong defense, and if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, he matches up well with what Garoppolo does in terms of the underneath run after the catch kind of stuff. But I understand it might be a little bit of a long shot as far as I think. Yeah.
Is it that a little real side tangent? Is it pretty much Carolina or nothing at this point? I know other people point to Seattle. That just kind of makes me. It's like,
Seattle doesn't really make sense for the 49ers to make a move within the division. The New York Giants is a team that I know I saw Barry Baller throw up in the comment section that I've seen some people talk about recently, just in Twitter conversations, that might make sense. Their quarterback's injured as well, so. Did they decide that they want to go with Jimmy Garoppolo and Tyrod Taylor, or do they want to stick with Jones for another year?
Okay. Well, look, this is neither here nor there, but my big concern with this is that the Niners. This is how it's going to play out. The Niners are going to take this to the very end. They're going to say Trey Lance wins the quarterback competition. Jimmy, we want to cut your salary drastically. You're the backup quarterback. We're not going to pay you $27 million to be the backup. We'll pay you more than anyone else can pay you on the market, but it's going to be a big pay cut. And Jimmy says, I forgot to tell you, but I'm having surgery on my thumb or whatever, something. I heard it. I was trying really hard to win this quarterback competition, but I did something, and now I need to get surgery, and now my contract's guaranteed. Sorry. Plus, I'm going on IR. That's how I feel. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, if he gets into training camp with them, I think they're gonna be stuck with him.
Yep.
If they actually get into camp and they let him get into camp and start to work,
yep.
I think they will be stuck with him. Not necessarily because of that, but I just think that once they get to that point, I just think that's kind of them raising the white flag that they haven't been able to move on from him, and they're going to just stick with him in some way.
Yeah. And then if you stick with him, I mean, does he become the $27 million backup? Does he galvanize the locker room on his side? I mean, I don't know. Funny things happen in life, and I think we're going to see. So I think we'll find out. CT Law says, so let's say Jimmy comes back, and let's say they have a $27 million backup quarterback, which is never going to happen. But let's say, how many games do you allow Trey to lose before calling in Jimmy serious? That's a great question, right? Because Jimmy got hurt, came back, and the Niners started 2-4. Lance lost one of those games as well. Could Lance do the same thing with Jimmy on the bench? Depends how Lance is playing.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, for me, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you need to stick with a guy, which is kind of what he did last year, and he'd have to know that there's going to be some, that you could hear him. You can basically hear what he's going to say, right? You could, we knew there was going to be some growing pains. We knew that there was going to be, it wasn't going to be smooth, but we believe in this guy, and that's what it should be.
The problem is not what Kyle would say, but it would be like if there are whispers from the locker room, because for the first time in 2 years, the locker room is going to be open, and a player can go to a reporter after a game real discreetly. Happens all the time, and just say, hey, what the fuck? Write that, but don't attribute it to me. You know what I mean? Like, those things can get out, and I mean, Jimmy can talk. You never, I mean, who knows? So anyway, it'd be very interesting what happens.
It's true because of, it's not going to be like it's been the last 2 years, right? They're not going to be able to really drive the narrative like they were the last couple of years, because the media will be in the room and be able to chat with whoever they feel like, whoever's in the room.
Double B Studio says, I've said since the minute the Niners lost the NFC Championship, Niners will never trade Jimmy. I sent you a super chat saying that. I was called crazy. Sorry, Double B Studio. It's a phenomenon. It's really quite amazing that the Niners won't give. But I don't know. I mean, like, what makes Jimmy different than all other quarterbacks? I mean, everyone says that he's off the charts in terms of leadership, likability, professionalism. And no one really says anything nice about the way he plays. Like, I've never heard of a quarterback who can get by on intangibles 100%.
Yeah, no, it's funny because that's exactly what happened yesterday, right? With the receiver.
Sanders.
Yeah, with Sanders came out and said it.
I've heard this before. Like, no one's questioning this about Jimmy, but like, these are qualities a coach could have, a backup quarterback could have. I mean, what about him makes him a good starter? And everyone's like, well, I guess we'll see. I mean, if he leaves and the Niners tank and he has a good career, then that'll be the answer.
He's just a weird case because there's a lot of bad things when you watch him play. There's plenty of bad there, and then there's the good, and it just kind of balances each other out. It's crazy how they win so much with him compared to without him.
I know. It's crazy.
It is. It just really is. And the way the perception
similar, because Tebow won. I mean, and he did it his way, and at the same time, like, it didn't really matter like what the process was. He got there at the end, but the difference with Tebow was he couldn't throw a football. He didn't play the position the right way. He was like a chicken with his head cut off. He was a run first guy. Jimmy looks the part. He plays the position the right way. And that goes so far with, I think, a lot of people. Also, the fact that he has pedigree. I mean, not just forget how he looks. That's really neither here nor there. He plays the position from the pocket, and he has the New England pedigree. He talks like Tom Brady. He apparently comports himself in meetings like Tom Brady. He's not Tom Brady. Doesn't play like Tom Brady. But he does, he tries his damnedest.
Yeah, he tries.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Double B once again says teams are looking at Jimmy Garoppolo playoff resume and are concluding we don't have a team that can carry this leader. Teams rather have quarterbacks with no playoff experience. I mean, I don't think we have to go like down the list of reasons the Niners can't trade Jimmy. It's a very, very long list. The Niners know it. That's why if the Niners like Jimmy as much as they say they like Jimmy, they wouldn't have traded for Trey Lance. That wasn't a small trade. That wasn't like a trade up from 27 to 17. That was a Mondo trade and it wasn't. Apparently, it wasn't because they were 100% sold on Lance, right?
The way, if you believe all the stories and everything that's coming around, I think they believe more in Lance than people are saying. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out in 4 months. We're going to find out about 4 months.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words. Please show us 49ers. Double B Studio says also thanks for those short Jimmy updates. Got my hopes up. Thanks for the hard work, QC. Your job is not easy, my friend. Jack. Yeah, I know it's silly, but at the same time, like the fact that he is still every day that he's still on the team, like kind of blows my mind. And we're all kind of habituated to it now. But like, if I told you last year, not only is Jimmy Garoppolo going to make it through the season, but he's going to be on the team next offseason too. I think we might have been a little skeptical. Really?
No,
how? Did they win the Super Bowl? No. Did they go to the Super Bowl? No. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I'll watch. Yep. CT Law says, Grant, the perfect storm is set up for Jimmy. Surgery season starts and Trey Lance gets the call. Jimmy sits and Lynch says Jimmy's still working through to get sharp. No one is going to think Lance took his job. And then if Lance struggles, Jimmy Garoppolo comes in as the savior and makes $250 million totally guaranteed on the free agent market next year. He gets the last laugh. No?
That would be quite a story, quite a season to write about.
Matty Mayoko said today, his name is Matty, by the way, not Matthew. He's named after Matty Alou, the famous former Giant. That's a Matt Mayoko fact. Matty Mayoko. He said, he argued that Jimmy should want to be a backup here. If he has to be a backup anywhere, he should want to be a backup here. Because, well, he didn't really go into the full list of reasons, but I could give a lot of reasons why that makes sense to me. Like, first of all, Trey Lance got hurt twice last year. There's no guarantee that he'll stay healthy all season. There's no guarantee that he'll be good, even though I think he will be. And if Jimmy Garoppolo does get a chance to come back and play, he knows the system. He's got George Kittle. He's got Deebo Samuel. He's got Elijah Mitchell. I mean, he knows he can have he knows he can win and have good stats here. I mean, that's something.
Yeah, it's a good spot for him. You know, I think that
like humiliating, but it's still a good spot.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before because if you look at like what Mitchell Trubisky did, he went somewhere and he rehabilitated himself for a year as far as his image across the league, and he found a spot in Pittsburgh as a result. He probably wouldn't have got that deal from anybody last year, but he did this year. Garoppolo could do the same. I don't know if it's necessarily staying here in San Francisco and doing it, or if he needs to just cut bait and go somewhere else.